Hello, art teachers. Today I have another curriculum collection for you. This time I'm talking about why I love collage and the different projects I do with collage in K through 5. You might find some ideas that are useful to you. I love collage. It's one of my favorite media, and I teach it at every grade level. One of the reasons I love collage is because when I started teaching art, it was as a camp counselor, an after-school program director, and as a librarian. And collage is perfect if you are on a cart, doing a summer camp, homeschool, if you're doing library programming. And collage is really great for students that are really working on developing motor control. Students that can't quite hold drawing tools effectively yet can still glue things down in an expressive collage. Collage is so flexible and affordable. The other reason I'm a big fan of teaching it is because I'm a collage artist myself. We do about 40% needle arts, 40% collage, 20% everything else. Collage is very important in modern art, and it's an important part of a well-rounded visual arts curriculum. These are the 9 elements that I try to teach to my kids every grade level, every year. Items for collage can be made by cutting, tearing, and in some cases, I give the students pre-cut materials. They can be attached with glue stick, brush on glue, glue sponges, tape, bottle glue, staples, brads, spray adhesive, just any number of things. So here's a quick overview of the projects I do, K through 5. Some of these I have already made a separate video for. So if I have a separate video for that, you'll see the little YouTube logo and I'll point that out. In kindergarten, it doesn't matter what we do, they want to cut it out. And so I roll with that. I've got 50-minute classes, and age-appropriate projects usually don't take up the whole class. So whatever we've learned, if we have time, they'll say, can we cut this? So I keep the buckets of scissors and glue sticks handy and construction paper so that whatever we've worked on, they can then cut it out and glue it down. So it's a wonderful skill building opportunity, and they love to do it. They will even cut things out of white paper and glue them back down on white paper. This is a fantastic time filler. I do have a 5-lesson unit on kindergarten shape lessons. I've already got a YouTube video for that. And almost all 5 of those lessons involve some cutting and gluing. For the squares, I've given them pre-cut squares. In our circle lesson, we're using circle stickers. I do this at the beginning of every year, and it's perfect for high engagement and low motor skills. Later in the year, we introduce painting, not with paint, but with tissue paper. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to introduce painting slowly in a more controlled manner, and I don't want to introduce all the materials at once. So by painting on the tissue paper, this is a watered down glue, I can introduce the use of the paintbrush, the dipping in the liquid and brushing it on the surface, how to use a paintbrush without actually getting out multicolored paints. And they come up with some really cool stuff. This is also their first introduction to the drying rack, of putting our projects on the drying rack when we're done. In first grade, I've got a couple of different shape projects that we use collage. We do a geometric shape project, and then we do the organic the next week, and I have a video for this. Symmetry, I also have a video for. In kindergarten, we're just doing the most basic folding and cutting to see that we can get mirror symmetry just by cutting a folded piece of paper in any way they want. And of course, they get to glue that down. My first graders were being a little bit more advanced, same idea of folding and cutting, but we're usually trying to make bugs or monsters or some sort of creatures with that mirror symmetry. Again, cutting, cutting, cutting as much as they want and gluing down their picture. This is a really fun perspective lesson that I do in the first grade. I actually do it for 2 weeks. We have a near and far in outer space, and we also have a near and far under the sea. I've got YouTube videos on both of these. I actually have a couple different versions. In one, I'm talking to you, the art teachers, as I usually do, but occasionally I also make videos where I'm talking to the students, so you can just play that in class. The idea behind this project is getting them to understand that things that are far away look small and that things that are near to us look big. So in the case of the outer space, we talk about how the moon is actually a very big thing, but when we put it into this artwork, it looks so small. Why does it look small? Because it's far away. And the robot, well, the robot looks so big, he actually is supposed to be fitting into that rocket. Why does he look so much bigger than the rocket? Because he's so close. And the way I get the kids to properly size these things is that I actually have them work on 3 different pieces of paper. So for the moon, I will give them a very small paper, maybe a 1-inch square. And then for the rocket, and we do these as guided drawings, I've given them a bigger one. And then for the robot, we do one that is about a half sheet. So after we do each one of these guided drawings, then they can color them, cut them out, and glue them in their outer space paper or in their under the sea paper. First graders also do the stick puppets. I also do stick puppets in kindergarten, but the kindergarten stick puppets are just coloring. For the first graders, I actually have them assemble their faces in collage, and these are put together sort of like a sandwich. So we've got the front face, I've got a straw, and then on the back side is just an oval that gets, and the straw gets sandwiched in between the two, gluing it together with glue stick. I have some pre-cut shapes, and I have a lot of stencils, mostly for the hair. And this guy on the left here took a hair stencil and made a mustache, and he cracks me up. The paper playground might be familiar to you. I guess technically this is more of a sculpture project, a construction project, but we do it with paper. And the options I have for attaching the different kinds of paper are glue stick. I've got a lot of different colored tapes, and I also give them a lot of stickers. Sometimes you'll see projects like this called paper roller coasters, and they're all pretty similar. But the thing that I added that I think adds great dimension is these little mini muffin cups. And these bases here are cardboard that 5th graders painted when they were using up acrylic paint left over from other projects they were working on. I know I say this about most every project, but the kids really love this one. And again, like most of the collage projects, it's so cheap, so flexible, so easy. For this project, I'm wanting them to move from lollipop trees to really understanding how trees branch out from the trunk to the limbs to the branches. And I have a whole lesson that goes along with this, and we do some different exercises. And in the exercises, we talk about not only how the wood part of the tree goes through the trunk, the branches, the limbs, but also how the shape of the leaves of the tree looks like a cloud. So one of the exercises is that I give them a paper with a cloud shape on it, and we make it into a tree. And then when we're actually making this collage, I give them one strip of paper, which is the grass, and then I give them rectangles of paper, which they then draw clouds on, cut the clouds out, glue them down to the background, and then with markers, we attach the top of the cloud tree to the grass. You can see some of the kids go ahead and put the roots in, and then they can add all sorts of other details that they would like to put in their picture of their trees. So this project is a combination of collage, guided drawing, and free drawing. In 2nd grade, they move on to the self-portrait paper dolls. And of course, the 2nd graders are ready for this because, as you've seen, they did a whole lot of collage in the 1st grade. This project is made out of paper dolls. They come from Royal Co. in this array of skin tones. I have made a whole bunch of stencils of different clothing shapes, and I've written all over them so that they get the idea that these are just stencils and they're not supposed to glue them down to their doll, but some of them still do. So a big point of this project is to get them to understand a stencil representing a shape, not actually being the actual thing they're gluing down. And then they get a big variety of scrapbook paper origami paper, any sort of printed scrap paper that we might have collected during the year. And then the other element of this assignment is, and then the other element of the assignment besides the tracing, cutting, and assembling is understanding that your self-portrait is not just what you look like, but it's about all the other things that are important to who you are. So then we do drawings and writing and add a lot of details to show what are they like inside, not just what they look like on the outside. I teach positive and negative space in the 3rd grade with a notan, and I really won't go into that because there's so many videos on notans. And in 4th grade, I'm back to a big collage project. I've got a video for this one. For this one, we do a lesson on Matisse, and I talk about how Matisse really invented collage as a contemporary art. And then I have put together envelopes for them with a variety, maybe 7 or 8 different pieces of paper. Scrapbook, origami, corrugated paper, maybe some stickers or cardboard or foil, just anything. I collect all year. And so everybody gets this mystery envelope, and then there's also a pile of things that they can choose from. They can trade for each other. If they get something they don't want to use, they can put that in the shared pile. So the challenge is to take whatever it is they have in their mystery envelope and then create their collage. Over on this one, on the right, you can see there's a little bit of paper doily and some wallpaper fabric. Having some metallic foil in there is really good too. So this 4th grade project is really my capstone project for collage. I don't have a specific collage project in the 5th grade, but all ages like to do a lot of collage in Open Studio. I keep a lot of materials out in the student area for them. I have pattern scissors, lots of colored tape, lots of surfaces, cardboards, papers. Glue stick is always available, and they always amaze me with the fantastic things they come up with. So that's it, and as always, I hope this was helpful to you. I hope you found something that you could use or adapt. I love to hear about it. I'm also on Facebook. I love to see pictures, comments here on YouTube or on my Facebook to show me pictures of what you have done. And on the Heidi Heil YouTube channel, I have more of these sort of curriculum videos that cover multiple years of lessons of a particular material. I've got them on needlework, color, painting. I'm always working on more of those. And then I have a lot of individual lessons, my how to teach videos, which really spell out in more detail all the supplies you need and the steps you need to take to do specific lessons and projects. I'm Heidi Howe, and that is my collage curriculum.